Hello, David here with O2 Performance and Recovery. Today we're going to talk about nasal breathing and why it's important, more efficient, and a little bit of the science behind it. So when you think about nasal breathing, we're not talking about just in through the nose, out through the mouth. We're talking about in through the nose, out through the nose, both. And so when you look at animals, animals all breathe through their nose. The only time you'll see a dog breathe through its mouth is when it's trying to regulate its breath, when it's tired and it pants. But otherwise, always the nose. In any kind of animal that you look at in the wild, it's always nasal breathing. And the only time they breathe through their mouth is maybe right before they're about to die. So nasal breathing should be inherent in humans as well, but we tend to mouth breathe quite a bit. And when you mouth breathe, it's just a lot less efficient, it doesn't go as deep, and we blow out a lot of our CO2, which you would think with all the CO2 talk out there that maybe that's a good thing, but really you need a balance of CO2 in the blood for the oxygen molecule to really break from the hemoglobin and the red blood cell to get to the tissue. It's easy to get oxygen into the lungs, we can all do that, into the alveoli, the sacs that hold the oxygen, and then to get it from the alveoli over into the red blood cell, the hemoglobin, which is the protein in the red blood cell that holds the oxygen and binds to it. That's not hard either, but the trick is to be able to get it from the hemoglobin in the red blood cell to release and get to the tissue, get to the rest of the body. And so to do that, you got to have some CO2 in the blood. And when you mouth breathe, you blow out all your CO2 and you only get a partial delivery of the oxygen from the hemoglobin to the tissue and the rest of the body. So that nasal breathing allows that balance of CO2 to remain in the blood, and therefore you get a clean break from the oxygen molecule to the hemoglobin and a lot more oxygen to the tissue and throughout the body. So in other words, the body is oxygenated much more efficiently with more volume when you nasal breathe. So that's the efficiency part of it. That's part of the science behind it. And some other just benefits that you get for nasal breathing would be that you naturally create about 25% more nitrous oxide in the nasal cavity if you nasal breathe. And of course, nitrous oxide, as we know, is great for you. People take supplements for it, but you can create it naturally, and it's just a great dilator for our lungs and our heart. So when you think about breathing, nasal breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, it's kind of a habit you got to get into. A really good book to read on that would be Breathe by James and Esther. Really good book on breathing in general, but really it talks about and does some experiments on nasal breathing compared to mouth breathing, and it shows the distinct differences in health and everything else. And one last thing, the nasal breathing, it also activates your parasympathetic, which puts you in a lot better state, a calmer state, relaxes you more, less stressful, and it's much better for your body and overall health. So nasal breathing in and out through the nose. Until next time, David, O2 Performance and Recovery.